talked with Tamra Jackson-Ziems Wednesday about the 2012 and 2013 corn crops. For last year's grain, Tamra says there are still a few things to watch while your corn is in the bin to ensure optimum quality. For 2013 planting, if you haven't selected seed yet, Tamra says disease problems in the field should play a part in your decision-making process.
And I want to emphasize that the pathogens that cause some of those diseases are still out there. The conditions were not quite right during the drought of 2012 to be conducive for disease development. And so a lot of diseases were not very severe or not present at all. But it's important for us to realize they are still there and we need to select our seed accordingly.
How long do they stay in the soil?
Well, many of these pathogens are very well adapted and have special survival structures. They can survive for years and years without a host. And so you can't even rotate out of them long enough to completely kill them.
The different seed varieties that you have a choice between, is it noticeable? I mean, is there a difference in, one end to the other?
Absolutely. And for example, Goss's bacterial wilt and blight. Hybrid selection and selecting a hybrid that has good resistance, tolerance for that disease is the #1 factor that's going to affect whether or not you get disease. We've got a lot more gray leaf spot, and the conditions really are going to determine whether or not we see that, but gray leaf spot's one we have trouble with year to year.
What are the conditions that are conducive to those two maybe being widespread?
Well, if we begin to see rainfall again in the spring and early summer, so we have higher humidity and more free moisture, that's conducive for many of the fungi to cause disease, in particular gray leaf spot. And so that's what I would watch for in the coming year. Also, if we have severe storms that may cause wounding in the corn, hail, high winds, that will certainly lead to Goss's wilt development too.
This drought left a lot of questions, and it kind of threw a lot of things at us that we didn't really know how to cover because they were unusual. Aflatoxin was one of those things. We didn't know how it was going to come about. As the grain is in the bin now, does that mean it's safe from harm?
Well, actually, that's a very important point. The pathogens that cause Aspergillus ear rot and can produce aflatoxin are alive and well. They are just like the others we talked about in that they can survive acclimate conditions. In particular, the toxin itself, if you have aflatoxin, can also continue to increase if storage conditions are not good in the bin. It's very important to maintain good storage conditions, not only now, but as temperatures begin to change and they warm up again.
What are those conditions? Temperature, moisture content? What are you looking at that would be ideal?
Exactly, and so the fungi in the bin will continue to grow in the bin if the moisture is too high. If you know you had a problem in the fall with ear rot diseases, it's more likely that they will continue to grow and decline quality of the grain than not. And so it's important to keep that moisture below 13–12% if possible, or just to sell it and not take the risk in general.
Is it a problem you know you'd have once you open that lid, or is it one that you need to stir up the grain and do a little investigating in?
I think it would be worth the time to stir it up and keep monitoring it. If you know you have a problem when you open the lid, it's probably too late.
Right. And what were the fields that that grain would have come out of that would have been conducive to aflatoxin? What would those fields be?
Well, those fields that are drought stressed, the non-irrigated fields in particular, or ones that may have been damaged by ear-feeding insects or other animals damaging the kernels.